feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful audience. Give yourself some round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone should love it. And while you're in the clapping mood, I'd like to give a big round of applause to my band.
Welcome to 30 Something Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to 30 Something Podcast. Mika wanted me to do the intro. She's looking at me with her eyebrows booked like this.
Go.
Do the intro now. I'm sorry. I was waiting for our guests to come in and have a seat. But I'm Drea, and we have Miss Miko here. Miss Shay, she is not with us tonight, so we're hoping she feels a little bit better. And Miss Lisa, she is getting her money. And also Miss Farrell, she had her baby, and she is so beautiful, y'all. So
She is.
we're going to put up a picture of her a little bit later, and you guys can see a picture of Miss Glory Giovanna. But we'll show a picture of her in a little bit. Tonight, it is our back to school special. Yes, get these kids away from me. It is time for back to school. Yes, Lord. And we have Miss Tamara Taylor here, and she's going to be talking about some
Mental health.
Yeah, mental health with our children and trying to promote positive change with our kids. And so she'll be talking about that. And also, we have Miss Jennifer Henry, and she does homeschooling. So for all of you people who are trying to decide if you want to choose to do homeschooling, she has a little bit of info, and so she'll be talking with us about that. And last but not least, we are giving away our trip to Cancun.
So we have Miss
Sponsored by Ready for the World Travel. Miss Tamika Davis, she is here, and we'll be giving away the trip. So we're going to announce a number in a little bit, and you guys are going to call in to answer the questions. And then we'll enter your name into a drawing that we're going to do at the end of the show, and to announce the winner of the trip. So it is a flight and hotel for two to Cancun. And we also want to always thank Mr. J. Rose for the beat. These beats ain't free.
They are not free.
They ain't free at all. And we have Sass's Cleaning. Sweep away stress. She does have a back to school special as well. First time clients get 2 hours for $60, 4 hours for $100, 6 hours for $150. Or you can mix and match any two services for $50. Pantry cleaning and organizing, cabinets and organizing and cleaning, oven cleaning, fridge cleaning, laundry, 3-load, max hanging and folding. And you call her at 214-604-2181. And these are some really good prices. Like,
They are.
listen, won't nothing bless you like somebody coming in and cleaning your house for you? You know, you can just sit around and drink you a glass of wine while you look at your clean house for 5 minutes before the kids come in and tear it up.
That's right.
Right. So you guys call Sasses. Those are some wonderful, wonderful prices that she has there. And again, the number is 214-604-2181. And right now, so Sunday, we
night.
had the opportunity to help host the Uncrowned Experience with See-Through. He's one of the local artists, and he actually had like some other artists that were there. We had Trey Ward and QP.
Kobe Savage. What was
and
the
also
spoken word?
Lyric Ashani.
Lyric
Ashani, she has some spoken word, and it's like some
Erotic.
erotic stuff. So yeah, I was like, Lord, I was clutching my pearls, but it was really good. And she has some stuff that's on Amazon.
I sent a little clip. I have a little clip.
You do? Okay, so what we're going to do right now is show like the video clip and some photos of the event that we were at. So you guys can take a look at that. We've been busy.
We'll try to tell you all what you're watching once it comes up. Oh, so this was just the clip. It was Shay's birthday yesterday, but we were celebrating her birthday at the event. Also, you see her in her mermaid suit. She's out sick.
Baby, she was wearing that suit.
But this is us at the event.
And JoJo was there.
JoJo Nelson, Reppin' 30 Something Podcast. There's a performance right now. That was, what's his name?
That's Trey Ward.
Trey Ward. He's a singer.
He has a song out that most people know. It's called Anymore. And I had to go and I looked it up.
You're right there.
And it was Miko, what was that? But yeah, his song Anymore, it's been really popular. So I didn't know.
He's dope though. He has a good sound.
Yeah,
he has
he
a
does.
really good style too.
He kind of reminds me of Bryson Tiller a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, along those lines.
It's not a whole lot of, runs and theatrics and stuff like that. It's more like a smooth, cool type jam.
He called it wavy.
Wavy. Yeah, that was how he described it, wavy.
So yeah, that's what we've been up to. We did that on Sunday. We have some more?
It was CP. You don't have to play that. Oh, that was his performance. Can y'all hear it? And we did live interviews.
Yeah, we did. We got the chance to interview all of the artists that were there. And our interview that we had with See-Through was really good.
That's our interview with Kobe Savage.
That's Kobe Savage. And that's See-Through.
And it was his birthday, right?
Yes. That was his birthday, like album release / hood party. But it was awesome. And we had a really good time. Met a lot of really cool people. So that was dope. So now we're going to get into the drawing. So the phone number, take this phone number down, 469-708-8609. That is the phone number that you call in order to answer the questions. It's only 2 questions. I hope y'all watch the show.
It's 3 questions.
It's 3 questions.
3 questions.
Where's the third one?
Name.
Oh, yeah, it's 3. It's okay. Sorry. So,
the 3 questions.
It looks like 4.
No, I just rephrased it. It was what was Tamika's from Ready for the World Travel's favorite travel destination? What place did she say that she loved, that she had visited the most out of all the places? That was question number 1. Mm-hmm. Question number 2 was what was the destination that Cashmere Pope took for her first international trip? That's question number 2. And then you have to name one of our sponsors that we've been saying on the show every week since we started.
Yes.
So those are the 3 questions. If you all call in at 469-708-8609 and answer those 3 questions, then your name is going to go in the bucket. And at the end of the show, we will draw a winner. Tamika, do you want to tell us some more about the trip or anything?
Just kind of, you want me to just kind of go
over recap?
Okay, well, this is going to
Somebody's calling. Oh, wait. Somebody who's?
Can you put him on hold, right? Can you put him on? You can't answer and put him on hold.
Who's there? Hello,
Candace.
Hey, Candace,
Yes,
how you
ma'am.
doing?
Hey, Candace. Hey, you on here?
Yes, I am.
You already have your answers ready?
Girl, I've been had them ready for 2 weeks.
Well, what is Candace? How can we find you on Facebook?
Well, it's Candace Walker, Candace Walker.
Okay.
I don't got no famous last name or nothing. So.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the answer to the first question? It says, what was Tamika's place that she loved the most that she visited, her favorite place to travel?
She loves St. Martin.
Okay, all right. So you got the first one. And
they get it right or not.
Oh, sorry.
Because then everybody will know.
Oh, sorry. Okay, and what was Cashmere's first international trip that she took?
Well, of course, the place we're trying to go is Cancun.
Okay. And name one of our sponsors.
Metro Air Conditioning and Heating Service.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in. We're gonna
take some more calls because we're gonna enter everybody's name into a drawing.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, keep watching. So go ahead and tell us, recap everything about the trip.
Okay, this is going to be a trip for 2 nights and 3 days to Cancun. It's going to include your flight and your hotel. And I'm going to give you a lot of direction on the different things that you can do while you're there. The excursions, things to see, shopping, just all of that. Just to give somebody else an opportunity to kind of get out and see a little bit of different things in the world.
We got another caller. Who we got?
It's Wayne Powell here.
Wayne
Powell. Wayne Powell.
Okay. Do you have the answers?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, who am I speaking with?
This is Drea.
This is Gil.
Drea.
Drea.
Yeah, turn your volume down a little bit on whatever you're watching this on. Turn it down because there's a little bit of a delay, so you might not be able to hear.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm turning it down
Okay.
right now. So that
Thank-
was just to show that it was on.
Thank you.
Comcast.
Oh, okay. So, the first question: what place did Tamika love to visit when she travels? What place does she love to visit?
Cancun.
And okay, and Kashmir. What was her first international trip?
St. Martin Islands.
Okay, and what is one of our sponsors?
Wild Monkey.
Wow, monkey.
All righty.
Okay, we're
Thank
gonna
you
take
for
some more calls.
calling.
Thank you for calling.
They're
We're gonna
asking
take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and take some more calls after we talk with our guests.
Okay.
They're asking to pin the number.
It's hot in here. I'm hot. No, I'm hot.
No, but it was a hot guy in there.
Not that kind of hot. We need Metro Men. For all of your air conditioning and heating services, please contact Metro Air Conditioning and Heating Services at 214-948-8888 or visit him on the web at metroacs.com. You can also find him on Facebook at Metro Air Conditioning and Heating Services. He's been in business since 1990, a member of the Better Business Bureau with a AAA rating, and he may not be hot, but he'll make sure that you're not. Now, where's that other guy?
Hey, we got another caller? No?
So we're gonna.
Okay,
we're
y'all
gonna
gotta call back
hold on.
now.
No, we're gonna.
No?
We're gonna talk to.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Tamika for. I mean, not Tamika, but to
Tamara.
Yes, so kids are heading back to school, and of course, social media is filling up with first day of school photos. But some kids are still out for the summer, and Uncle JoJo is doing a love deposit for the kids. He has been selling T-shirts, and all the proceeds go towards the purchase of 8 school-age children some new shoes, or the money that they would have spent on shoes towards them getting school clothes. So he finally, I put in his snap, and then I also sent a video of the T-shirts. Also, he's been selling the T-shirts all over the city, and he just collects all the money from the community, and then he turns around and he distributes it back out to the children. So we really support JoJo with all the different stuff that he does with the love deposit, because he always supports us too. So we just want to keep encouraging people to invest in your community, and if you can't do it individually by going out and taking a kid under your wing, then if you give it to JoJo will make sure that the kids get it. So continue to support it. So that's it for that, for JoJo. In our communities, we don't face as many school shootings, but with the national news coverage and the increased number of acts of gun violence that has become somewhat of a norm across the country, I think that it's important that we don't walk around with the "it couldn't happen to us" attitude. Kids are experiencing different types of trauma every day, home, family violence, abuse, neglect, and these different experiences are part of the Why in Tamara's What Why program, and she is here to talk with us more about how to watch signs in our children and others, and it may lead to getting someone the help they need before they get to the what.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us, Tam. Can you tell us more about your What Why program and why it's important?
Well, the What Why program is basically what is the behavior and why is the root cause for the behavior. And so when we address behavior, that's typically all that we address because it's the problem. It's the part that we see, it's the impact. So when we're doing consequences, we're disciplining, we're neglecting the motivating factor. So it's just like if you have a flu. You know, if you're treating it with cold medicine, you might subside a few of the symptoms, but you won't get rid of the flu. So in order to change behavior, you have to address what motivates it.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm an educational psychologist, and that's not to be confused with a school psychologist. So I don't work necessarily as a licensed school psychologist, but I'm a researcher. So in my research, I focus my practice on behavioralism. And so that's basically human behavior, the study of how people learn. And I tailor my research towards the social aspect. Okay. And I develop programs, resources, partner with other services that deal with mental health, social emotional wellness. And not necessarily just mental health, but just social skills in general, for younger kids.
So you sent a clip that shows the tears.
Yes.
He's going to bring up that image. If you can just explain, are you going to turn it around too once you bring it up? If you can explain the tears and what they mean and why they're important for us to understand and know more about as parents.
So these tears these are what you see in the school, and mostly it's the administrators and teachers that utilize this tool. It's called the RTI, response to intervention. Okay. So there is a behavioral track, and then there is an academic track. So if you were to draw a line vertically down the center of that triangle, one side we could use to track behavior, the other side we use to track academics. So what happens is kids go to school and they're in the norm. But when they're not performing based on just the standard policies and practices that are in place, which would be the green area. This is the widest base. So this is the majority of the school population. In this area, anything that we do universally, classroom management, school rules, policies, those things, most kids will follow. That's 85 to 90% of the student body. Okay. But then you have 10 to 15% of the student body who do not respond to those boundaries. And so when they're not responding, they become red flagged, which means now they have to have a committee that sits down and determines, okay, what can we do to help this child? So they put in interventions. If it's academic, they do academic interventions. If it's behavior, they do behavioral interventions. And if it's both, they have to do both. So with that, they go into tier 2. So that's the yellow region. In that tier 2, you're looking at more small group concentrated interventions, more individualized approaches to the child's needs or issues. And then you go into tier 3, which is the red, and it's the smallest tier. So that tier tells us these are the students who did not respond to the boundaries in the green or the yellow. And this is now 1 to 5% of the student body.
Okay. Can you break this down into simpleton terms? So when you're talking about, of course, green is going to be like the majority of the population. So when we move up to the next tier, which is the yellow, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like
what type of
special ed type? Is that no?
And the yellow is not special ed. The yellow is acting out students. So when we look at behaviors, there are levels of behavior. You have baseline behaviors, level 1 or tier 1, sometimes we call it. Those may be classroom disruptions, medial acting out type things, but they can be redirected. Okay. Level 2 is when level 1 is persistent and invasive. So examples of that may be disrespect, continual disrespect,
so
aggression.
Get into the referrals
you get into the referrals, not as many, but then we get into parent contact, parent conferences, office referrals. We haven't quite gotten to suspension. Suspensions start to look like level 3. Okay. So when we see a kid in the yellow area, we know that they're exhibiting level 2 behaviors. When you get to the level 3, we know that they are exhibiting extreme, and most of that is very volatile, whether it's verbal or physical. It is persistent level 2 and level 1. However, a level 3 can be a one-time act because it's so severe, such as you talked about violence and weapons, and we don't want those things to be persistent. So if it happens once, we can say, okay, this is a tier 3, we need to put it there. And the intervention at tier 3 is more one-on-one or an even more concentrated group. and their interventions are more intense. And so what my program does is partner with schools to work with the kids in tier 2 and tier 3, which is the yellow and red areas. The goal is, if the kid is not responding at a tier 3 level, what that starts to look like is alternative placement. It starts to look like dropouts. It also starts to look like special ed referrals. Now, the issue with that is disproportionate. So basically, what you start to look at is your pipeline to prison system.
Okay, because that was my next question.
Right. There are some students who genuinely are in that area, but most students, given proper intervention, do not have to go into that area. Unfortunately, we have people in place in our schools who want to do a good job, and they're trying, but they're not necessarily trained or know how to implement these interventions, or they're being trained that an intervention is needed, but then the intervention isn't provided.
Right. They don't
So we have a program, which is our What Why, which we have interventionists, and their job is to go in and work with the kids in small groups with response to trauma.
And what are some of those whys? What is some of the trauma that you have seen that kids are?
A lot of my experience is I've seen a lot of abuse. CPS is a regular phone call in my phone.
Physical?
Both. Physical, sexual,
emotional.
Yes. Neglect is also an issue. And a lot of times abuse, when it's not physical, is really hard to see. So that's when we start looking at behavior and trying to figure out why. Because most of the time when I'm dealing with a student, it's because I have to understand where the acting out is coming from, because behavior is actually a form of communication. Much like sign language, it's another way to say something when you don't have the words to say it. And because it's so disruptive, and it's disruptive to other people, it impacts other people, it becomes hard to listen to that language. So sometimes I have to step back, and it may be a series of weeks or months before I can start putting pieces together that there's a pattern. But I always look for a pattern. You know, do certain things happen at a certain time or with certain types of people in a certain environment. And a lot of kids who are being identified as emotionally disturbed or autistic even are misdiagnosed or mislabeled, I should say.
Because of the research and them not looking for patterns or finding the patterns.
Not necessarily because of the research, the lack of resources, and what do you do with kids when you're not helping them, but they can't stay in one environment. So we have to give them the right intervention so they don't end up in the wrong environment.
Because I know a lot of times with the kids when they're acting out, especially with some of the charter schools, they don't have like a lot of governance in charter schools. So when they start taking the children and giving them so many referrals, and it's like, okay, you got so many referrals, now we're going to put you in special ed. We're going to put you in special ed, and then we're going to send you to Metro Care or wherever, because it depends on your socioeconomic background, who can actually see you and diagnose you. The doctor diagnoses you with ADHD when you may not necessarily have it, or say that you have some sort of like personality disorder or something of that sort. And so once the child says, somebody told me I have something, now you own it. It's yours. You're the crazy kid, or you're the person. And so now you feel like it's okay to act within that space, and you recognize that as being your norm, instead of taking those interventions when they're younger and say, well, hey, back in the 3rd or 4th grade, mom had like 4 or 5 kids and he wasn't really eating a whole lot, and hungry kids act up when they're in school. They do. And so it's like a lot of times the teacher is so overwhelmed, they don't have that type of patience or type of resources to where they can go through and take the needle out of the haystack to see what's going on with the kid.
Well, and part of, you mentioned the teacher is being overwhelmed, and the part of the What Why program is accountability. So it's like going to therapy. If a couple goes to therapy, but only one party shows up and the other party doesn't, then it's not going to work. And so what happens is teachers are overwhelmed, administrators too. They're overwhelmed with legislation, policies that tie their hands. What can you do with these kids? You know, when they're, where can we put them? What can we do for them? There is a lot to do for them if they allow us to do so. But they do a lot of extensive training. So it's like we're investing in only one party of the relationship. So with the what, why, we don't work with the teachers, we work with the kid. So not only are we dealing with their trauma and going back to the root cause of what's motivating them to behave in a certain manner, we're making them accountable that even though certain things have happened, you can't go into this environment and do these things either.
And go ahead.
So as a parent of a child that ends up in one of these different tiers, what do you suggest they do to help their children, you know, get out of that?
Be present. Attend the meetings at the schools. That is the key. And most kids, and I will not speak for every child, most of them we find minimal parent involvement. And so when we see that in the school building, that's also matches what happens outside of the school building. So they have to start really just investing in the child, spending time with the child, talking with the child. But most importantly, they have to model. And that's usually the biggest part. That do as I say and not as I do doesn't actually work. So unless they change their behavior, so then we have to maybe start working with our parents sometime and training them on certain things. I myself remember as a kid, you know, I would get mad at my mom and I'd roll my eyes and slam the door, and, you know, she'd say, well, I don't know where you get this attitude from. And then one day when I was bold enough as a teenager, I said, you. This is what you do. But it was true even in my youth. I modeled her. And most of our parents do not notice that their children are mimicking them. And they may not be acting that way directly to the child, but the child is watching this them all the time.
So hard for people to see themselves doing things.
That mirror is ugly.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's so
I was just telling them
that.
earlier, I was like, my daughter is me. She's me. But what do you say to a parent who's in a situation? Because I know a lot of times, like, you know, with low socioeconomic backgrounds, like you might have a single parent household where mom is having to work 2 jobs and she's got 3 kids and she really wants to come to the PTA meeting and she really wants to be there, you know, with the kid. But it's just literally not even possible for it to happen and the lights be on at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So what do you say to someone who's in that type of environment? Like, and taking off work is you losing your job.
Let us help. That's first and foremost. You have to tell us you need help. Sometimes the school can't just figure it out. Reach out for, you know, mentors in the community. You know, there are a lot of people in the community. If you just say, could you help me? I'm having trouble. There's a lot of people who would step up. So when a parent is in that position asking for help, when there is a meeting and they cannot attend, they have the right to say reschedule. If that's not what the parent wants for that meeting to be held without them, they have to know what their rights are. Participate by phone or webcam. You know, these technology, I do interviews via virtual reality all the time. You know, there are ways. And so everything about what I do is about accountability from all parties. Schools have to be accountable that they are failing the children. Parents have to be accountable that they are modeling inappropriately for their children. Not every parent, I should clarify, not every parent, but, and then children also have to be accountable for what they do.
And when you're talking about school accountability, do you feel like, we got into this conversation this weekend, do you feel like with the climate changing, where the schools are not safe and the children are having more violent outbursts, we can say it doesn't necessarily happen in our community, but, you know, who's to say that it wouldn't? I feel like there's a list of reasons why it may or may not, but do you feel like of course the school counselors are overwhelmed. I think like it's in the United States is 400 to 1. The kids, 400 kids, 1 school counselor. And do you feel like there is that there should be someone like the counselor should have like LPCs or something to where they're able to actually, because that's a completely different certification to being a school counselor and having that.
That would be ideal.
Right.
But
well, of course, it costs more money. But I mean,
well, basically, it's and school counselors are different from licensed professional counselors, and they're wanting school counselors to play the role of a clinician.
Right.
And given certain issues,
they don't know
that is not their lane to dabble in. So I think there needs to be a combination.
Okay.
There should be an option for school counselors to extend their certification into an LPC. And some of them do actually, but they invest in themselves. They go back to school, they get their license. That's a personal drive.
Right.
But there should be something offered. But the other thing is we need more licensed practitioners in the school. And so that's actually what we do with the What Why. All of our interventionists are licensed practitioners. So when we partner with the school, we're not asking you to bring in, more kids to work with the school counselor who's already overloaded.
Right.
And let me preference, they want to help. That's what they prefer to do. But unfortunately, they are given so many other tasks that are not related to their passion or what they got there to do. Yeah.
Are you available for individual counseling?
I am. So we will be opening up a new practice, and we'll be taking new clients beginning in September. I personally do not do the therapy. So I have licensed practitioners that do the therapy.
Okay. We have her information on the card. Her phone number is 817-405-9752. You can go to her website at www.tamartayloredu.com or it's Tailored.
That's the publishing. Yeah.
.com. But if you want to contact her, if you want to get any more information about her What Now program, I mean, What Now? What Why? That's our segment.
Now is not bad. What Now?
Segment. It's What Why program. We appreciate you coming on and talking to us about everything. Some people are already saying that's some really good information.
Yes, it is.
And
gave out.
man, and just people don't. A lot of parents don't understand. Like, you don't have to take that first opinion when they, your child gets.
Don't take the first opinion.
They try to label your kid. Like, don't let nobody label your kid. Like, go and get a second opinion. Totally, because a lot of times, like, it's just a lot of times the kid, they know what to say to be manipulative, and it just becomes like a whole cycle. So just make sure you get second opinions, because we got some wonderful children. They just need to be redirected.
That's so true. Yeah. So we're gonna take some more calls to see if anybody else has any answers, has their answers together to win the Cancun trip. My tongue.
Yes, y'all call. It is 469. Oh, I was loud. 469-708. They calling it 8609. 469-708. 8609.
They're on. You want to ask them questions?
His mom is looking.
Who do we have?
We don't stay
calling?
in Dallas, but
this is Stanton.
Who?
Stanton.
Hey, Betty Bear.
Stanton.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Stanton, how are you?
I'm good.
Well, you're one of our faithful listeners, so I'm happy that you got through on the line. I hope you got all your answers together.
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
So, what place did Tamika love the most that she's visited?
St. Martin.
Okay. And what was the destination of Kashmir's first international trip?
Cancun.
And name one of our sponsors here.
Wild Monkey Designs.
All right.
Thank you for calling. We're going to do the drawing in a little bit.
All right. Y'all have a good one, ladies.
You too.
Bye. We got another caller. Oh, y'all call. Oh, we got another caller. Who we got?
Hello?
Hey, girl.
Hey, I want to answer the questions.
Who is
this?
It's Uncle JoJo.
I thought it was Lisa.
I was like, Lisa, you can show answers.
I was like, Lisa, you cannot answer the question.
I can't.
JoJo, we ought to ban you.
Listen,
It would seem like nepotism.
I appreciate you ladies, the content that y'all bring, and I know I have been a guest, but I'm not an official part of the show. So
Okay, JoJo.
Huh?
No, we're not
Okay.
disqualified. If they listen, they watching, they call in, they in the drum.
Okay, JoJo. First question.
Give it up. No problem. I give it
We
up.
got a trick question.
No, you gotta answer a trick question then.
Say what?
We gotta ask you a trick question.
Okay.
What was Tamika's favorite place to travel?
St. Martin.
And what was Kashmir's first international trip?
Cancun, that's where I'm trying to go. I've never been. I would love to go.
And name 3 of our podcast sponsors.
You got Wild Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
You got Metro Man.
Okay.
And I actually used him. He came out. He does a great job.
Already, JoJo.
And then y'all did the soccer, the cleaning lady.
Okay.
$10 off.
All right, JoJo.
All right, JoJo. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, y'all can't penalize me for supporting.
Bye, JoJo.
Hello.
Bye.
We got somebody else? Oh, they hung up. Call back.
Stanton said Ben JoJo increases my
We're going to take one more call and then we're going to get into our next interview. They're on? Who we got?
Hi, this is Ibu.
Lisa.
No, my name is Ibu, and I want to know who is going to pay for it.
That's Lisa. Lisa, you cannot win.
Lisa, you fired. Who calling?
Cancun.
No.
Who's going to pay for it?
Who's going to pay for it?
Who's
Ready
going
for
to
the
pay for
world.
it?
Knew the African voice. Lisa, bye. We got some real calls.
Okay.
This is Ibu.
Who's going to pay for the trip?
We can go to our commercial, our Walmart. Okay, we have a call.
Okay.
Before the commercial.
Who do we have?
Hi, Andrea Thomas.
Andrea Thomas. How you doing?
Pardon me?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing magnificent. So our questions is, what place did Tamika love the most that she's visited?
That was St. Martin.
And what was the destination of Kashmir's first international trip?
Cancun.
And one of our sponsors.
Places Cleaning Services.
Okay.
All righty.
Gonna take
Well, thank you for calling. And now we're going to go into a commercial.
Yeah, we're going to go into our commercial break. We'll take some more calls after the break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Caught urinating in public.
Do you want to answer?
Nursery. Your neighbor's pool. Call Wild Monkey Design right now. That's every man's right. And we'll defend your freedoms in court. Call this number at the bottom of your screen.
The day I was diagnosed with diabetes was the worst day of my life. When the doctor told me how expensive all my medicine was gonna be, I nearly fainted. I'm on a fixed income. But Wild Monkey Design was there for me. They pay for my medication and even deliver it to my door. Thank you, Wild Monkey Design.
Do you struggle putting beans in your chicken roast? Nothing you try seems to work? Now you can put those worries behind you with a Grind-A-Bean 2.0, brought to you by Wild Monkey Design.
We don't do any of this shit. We are Wild Monkey Design, your identity design firm. We do web design, web development, analytics, SEO, social media integration, logo design, and layout design. Call us today for a quote. Hey bro, what you over there doing, man? What you?
You paid for a 2-hour film session. It's been 2 hours.
No, man. Can I just get 5 more minutes?
Hyped about going to this, y'all. I'm so hyped about going to this Beyonce concert.
Oh, Beyonce.
Yes. No, I'm excited about going.
I saw people in the Black Travel Movement group on Facebook, and they were selling like sweet tickets.
Oh,
and they were like $625
I
a
ain't
person
about that life.
to sit up there and watch Beyonce and Jay-Z eat crackers and cheese.
Crackers and cheese.
No,
it
ma'am.
won't be me, but I definitely will be at that Houston show. I'm excited. But so we're gonna take some more callers. Uh-oh. All right, we're taking some more calls before we jump into our next interview. We're gonna do two. We're gonna do two.
With 2 more calls.
Yeah. Do you want to do 2?
Well, while we're waiting on some.
You got a caller? Who we got on the phone?
Oh no, we can.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it's Maisha.
Okay.
You said Maisha or Naisha?
Maisha.
Maisha.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Kewington.
Okay, so we can find you.
You think she Kim and Tiffany Kewington?
Or is she?
Yes, I am.
You are.
It's weird 'cause
We
like
went
2
to
years
school
apart.
with Tiffany.
We did go to school with Tiffany Kewington.
Yes.
Oh man, but thank you for calling. You doing all right today?
I sure am.
Awesome.
Have you been watching the show already?
This is my 3rd time watching.
Oh, that's cool. That's dope.
Well, thank you for checking us out.
I'm trying to show y'all some support.
Thank you. We appreciate every single last one of you.
Everybody.
First question is, what place did Tamika visit that she loved the most?
That was St. Martin.
And what was the destination at Kashmir's first international trip?
That was Cancun.
And one of our sponsors.
Wild Monkey Design.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling. Hey, we got another caller.
I enjoyed that show too, so I remember that one.
Oh, what she said? I
Really
thought we had
well.
another caller.
Y'all ladies do a good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We love that love.
All right, y'all stay blessed.
We got somebody else on the line? Y'all hung up. Call back.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this big show. We're excited about giving away the trip to Cancun, and we're also excited about the guests that we have on set. Jennifer was like one of my first best friends in elementary school at TD Marshall, and you've spent your whole life like chasing education, like chasing knowledge. And when I was going towards sports, even though we were both smart in school, when I was going towards sports, you were head first into Hockaday and all of the big schools, elite schools, and all that type of stuff. So I've just been so proud of you.
Aww.
And in admiration of all of your hard work and the things that you've accomplished. So you earned a master's in philosophy in neuroscience, right? And how was that journey? How was your educational journey?
Well, I started in a doctoral program at the Center for Neuroscience at NYU, and then, when you're in there, you kind of see what you're working towards, and I had to make a decision of whether that was the life I really wanted. The women that had children there sacrificed a lot in order to be at the positions that they held, in the positions that they held, and I didn't find that was my calling.
Right.
So I took a master's instead of the PhD, so I could be at home with my son. But you can't once you're a scientist, you make experiments out of all types of stuff in life, and I ended up experimenting on my son.
Yeah, that's what she's running a live experiment.
I did
on 2 sons now.
Yeah, well, So so I did the master's, and then I stayed at home, and I created a private school and a curriculum called Neuro Nurture, and just kind of grew that organically as I grew in motherhood with my son, with my first son, and that's how we got where we are today.
So explain Neuro Nurture.
It's really an effort to create an experience that brings the parent and child closer together, and that makes sure that children understand that learning is a way of life, and it's not 2 separate things where I have fun or I'm learning, but they can be together. So Neuro Nurture is an effort to combine the understanding of what you come here with can be nurtured into whatever you want it to be if you just combine fun and learning and nurturing at the same time.
So that's the curriculum that you used at your private school?
It is.
And yes. what like benefits, what did you see happen when you started teaching that curriculum versus the traditional way that everybody else teaches in school?
I think the biggest thing that I noticed is that there was a very close-knit community in the school, that the connection and the bridge between home life and school life was really seamless, because one of the biggest tenets of NeuroNurture is that there is a cooperative relationship with every family that's sensitive to the individual culture of the family, but also to the home life and the child's individual needs. So it's one of those things that allows parents to have a really hands-on position if they can or if they want to, but also just allowing us to understand what the household is like that the child is coming from, because that's really the best way to serve a child, is to really understand what they're made of and how you can best serve their family.
So you left from New York and you came back to Dallas. And what brought you back to Dallas?
One was to have another baby. New York was very expensive and very just not, for me, was just not a place where I wanted to continue to raise our first son and then add another baby to that. But also my family is here, you know, so I wanted my son to have those cousin sleepovers. We used to have sleepovers, and that's not a thing you can do so much anymore. People don't do that. So I wanted him to
let our children go anywhere.
So I really wanted him to get that the upbringing that I did. Plus, I really feel like outside is a necessary part of childhood, being out in nature. And New Jersey, New York, I mean, you don't get it as much, you know, so we wanted him to be able to dig in dirt and eat grass and just do whatever it is that he wanted to do. And we couldn't really do it there.
So when you came back here, you didn't open another private school. You decided to start homeschooling.
Yes.
What were the steps that went into making that decision?
So after we decided that we were moving, I closed the school, and I just really thought, you know, when you have an idea of doing something versus when you actually do it, you learn a lot along the way. And the transition of doing things in a small group to being in a brick and mortar school with employees and regulations and all these things just really took away from what I was originally trying to do with NeuroNurture. So homeschooling allowed me to get back to that. And allowed me to, I think, provide what I was originally seeking with NeuroNurture for not just my son, but other people as well, and other programs that are existing as well. So,
so how do you and your family support your homeschooling? Because homeschooling can not a lot of people can do homeschooling because they have careers or jobs or anything like that, and then it can get to be pretty expensive also. So I know that you have that was a Village Co-op.
The Village Co-op, DFW. Find us on Facebook. It's a co-op for families that are interested in homeschooling, are homeschooling, or just looking for some sort of enrichment outside of school for their kids. So we do cultural events. We do.
So this is the social aspect.
It's the socialization.
Because I was going to ask. I'm like, well, how do they get around other kids?
That's a big myth about homeschoolers, that they're not socialized.
It's like you're raising weirdos. Like that's always like the misconception that like you're raising.
I think there's a way to do it, because you can find that being, you know, that lack of socialization can be the very same experience they get in public school, where they're told to find a bubble all the time, or they don't really learn how to interact with adults or to have conversations, whereas homeschoolers, they're interacting with adults all day long, and so they are a little bit more comfortable with that dynamic than I think traditionally school children are. I'm freezing.
I am too.
Yeah,
I'm over here shaking like a chihuahua.
I am shaking, okay, because I'm really cold, but so yeah, I mean, I feel like that is a big myth about homeschoolers, because my son is always like the most
social,
outgoing. Everybody is my friend, and you know, I've never seen a stage that I can't get up on and do something. That's my son, and that's a lot of homeschoolers. Like, they just have this comfort with themselves that I feel like I want all kids to have. So that's another arm of NeuroNurture, trying to encourage schools to be a little bit more flexible in the classroom, to be a little bit more liberal and not be afraid of this loss of control over the students, because that really does, I mean, kids need that. You have to have that freedom.
Well, yeah.
So what's a day of homeschool like for you and Jackson and now Jones?
Yeah, so your original question earlier, I didn't even get to it.
No.
How do you support it, right? I mean, it is very expensive to homeschool depending on how you do it, but there are co-ops out there that specialize in curriculum sharing, like the African American online co-op, curriculum co-op. They help you find discounts on different things, but then there are free programs online, and then you can also utilize your public library. So that's a huge like knockoff for the financial part. I mean, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of brand new books every time you're going to do something. You can get things online. You can borrow from other homeschoolers. There are lots of networks out there. And then just like my family support, my husband is a huge supporter. When I was trying to figure out, am I going to do the PhD? Am I going to like stay home and be the wife and the mom? What am I going to do? I mean, having that support and his mom stayed at home. Okay. His mom raised him as a stay-at-home mom and decided not to be a nurse and was able to do that. So he really all along was like, yeah, you know, whenever you want to not be a scientist anymore, girl, like, let me know, you know. So it was really just, you know, having that support is very, very critical. And it can be your mother, it can be a neighbor, it can be somebody that you trust, you know, that is a big thing. But what was the question that you just asked me? Because I wanted to bounce back to that one.
What is the day in homeschooling?
So that's the beautiful thing about homeschooling, and another reason why we got out of the traditional setting, and even my own traditional setting, is that every day is different. So right now, what I've started to do is, so NeuroNurture specializes also in experiential learning, so hands-on experiences. So one of the things that Jackson is going to start doing this year is animal husbandry. And that was another reason we moved down here, because I wanted him to learn how to farm, how to use his hands and do things. So he's going to start taking care of, one of my cousins has a farm, and Jackson is going to start on Wednesday mornings. He'll be taking care of cows and learning how to be an independent farmer. And I think that that's so critical, because it also is an easy way to teach math, because he can start learning about commerce, banking, entrepreneurship. Right. Wow. So, you know, all these things tie into it, which is, again, talking about NeuroNurture. You don't have to disconnect the fun and the experience from the learning. So we go to the grocery store on a random day, and we might spend 2 hours in the grocery store doing rounding, doing addition, just mental math, because in the ways that we really use it as adults. Right. So
so you don't do a lot of those drills of what's 8 times 2 and what's 20
I do that in the car as we're going places. Like, we listen to rap music, like math rap. And there are a lot of, like, Mark D. Pencil. I love him. Find him. Mark D. Pencil. Listen to him in the car. You know, that's how Jackson learned how to count to 100 when he was like 1, 2, because Mark D. Pencil is incredible. It's fun, and it's not the kid music that you don't want to hear. Like, you actually I find myself in the shower like
jamming to the music.
Yeah, like really into it, because he has really catchy beats. So any day you find us doing learning in the car, we do it as we're running errands, and then we definitely have our table work, the things that set the foundation for what I'm challenging him throughout the day with. But you know, no specific day is like the other, just like real life.
I have
so much better than classroom setting all the time.
It's a life thing. Oh yeah.
And I have a question that either one of you can kind of chime in. Life is different for children now versus how it was, you know, when we were younger, and the internet is a thing now. And so I like to call the internet the third parent. And how do you feel like the internet has impacted the environment in which our children is raised? And should we filter that? Should we intervene or try to, you know, control that source that our children become exposed to, is like as they progress in age?
So now the neuroscientist comes out. Okay, because when your brain is developing, you want to strengthen the neural networks that you're going to really need in life. And to be 100% honest, I think that the internet really bounces around a lot, literally, visually. I think there's a lot going on, and I don't think that it's necessarily the best thing to inundate a child with. It's okay every now and then. But when we're talking about laying neural foundations for learning, you really kind of need some old school paper, some old school crayons, some old school outdoor sticks and rocks, because these are really ways for a child to learn how to focus, to learn how to listen to themselves, to self-regulate, and then when you have that screen time, really monitoring your child a lot. Like I've noticed, we go to restaurants and parents set up the tablets. Like as soon as they sit down, they set up the tablet. Like
they don't know how
it.
to interact physically with people. It's only online. I know with my daughter, I found out quickly that social media was not for her.
Yeah.
So after we took the phone away for over a year, I gave her a phone back, but she has no apps on the phone. And I have parental control. Like her phone says she's 9 years old. And so I can see everything that she does. And some people like criticize me and say that I'm being like too invasive. But I'm like, I remember being a teenager and it was enough shit going on in school and everywhere else to where like I didn't need this extra source of something telling me what I should look like, what I should be wearing.
So some of the best school systems in the world, they spend the first like 7 years of the child's life focusing on playing, because playing is powerful.
Right.
You learn how to follow rules. You learn how to self-regulate. You learn how to learn. You learn all the things that you really need to know in order to excel at the later challenges that are going to hit you, like standardized testing, like the things that, but in the American educational system, we've taken play out and we've replaced it with a lot of screen time in our home life and in the classroom. And it is further, we're already, I think America's like number 32 on the world list of like school systems, with Finland and Japan being in the top 5. And these are places where children are not really getting like that formalized education until they're like 7 or 6. And they focus on playing and learning through the socialization aspect. First, because that actually sets you up to be a much better academic learner. So that is a huge part of what I do with my sons and with my students when I allow myself to open up and take other people's kids.
Because I asked her,
again.
my kids?
So how do you feel about
wait,
it?
I'm not ready.
Well, for me, I mean, I agree with her. I think we're exposing kids too early to technology. We're not monitoring and regulating it. We're using it as a pacifier, mainly because we do know kids. They're different now. They're not the same, and so it becomes easy for the adult to reduce the noise, reduce the problems by giving them the pacifier. That, if you think about it, with an infant, what's the first thing you do when they cry? You put the pacifier in their mouth. Well, that's what technology has become. And so it does stifle, how the brain develops. It definitely stifles their ability to interact. I mean, I come across adults who cannot socialize. I had a full conversation with a lady the other day, and she never once looked at me. Never once.
That's disturbing.
I find it with our little boys, with black boys. My husband is the volunteer coach on every single sports team that our son is on. He's the coach or the assistant coach. And we find that the little boys who are in public school, a lot of them, I mean, they have so many issues just answering simple questions like, how old are you? What's the name of your school? These sorts of things, because they're just not used to
having interaction with
having
people.
That person-to-person interaction.
And even when they get to like high school, we have like an internship where, these are college students, and they don't know how to. They don't have phone etiquette. Like when they call, they're so used to texting. And so when they call, it's like they just immediately start talking. And I'm like, hi, my name is Andrea. What is your name? How can I help you? Like just basic skills on how to like talk to people, how to just type a paragraph without using text language. Things like that is just it's a foreign skill.
So what you're right there saying, lost arts, that is a whole focus of my curriculum. Writing on paper.
Cursive writing,
having pen pals that are not emails, like actually putting a stamp, addressing envelopes.
And they can't spell?
They cannot spell. So, I mean, and I can't speak generally, but spelling is very...
20-year-olds who cannot write out checks.
It is, and it is really, it's a challenge, because while we do have to be ready for this technological age, there are actually some foundational skills that you really need to have. And so I mean, reading and understanding what you read
Right.
You know, these are things that you need focus in order to do.
I feel like the world is getting dumber, right? Like it is just me. I feel like most people are not intelligent, and I say unintelligent when I say like when it comes down to deductive reasoning. Like they don't understand that to get to 2, you have to add 1 + 1. They just figure, you know, somehow this just happens.
So
like
linear now.
Right. It's like the whole thinking process is so streamlined. It's like they don't think outside the box. They don't think for themselves. They don't understand, you know, that learning is a process and it is fun. Like you live and you learn, like literally.
Well, I mean, it's not a surprise though that learning has become something that's not fun for children. And I don't know if it always has been that way. It could be, but I think when you inundate children with this pressure of standardized testing, you take away the fun.
It's disgusting.
Because what you really are doing is saying being wrong is a penalty,
right?
Because they do have penalties, and then the teachers are financially penalized for the results of their class as well. So I mean, there is no space for making mistakes and learning from your mistakes. But there's a whole NeuroNurture came out of me doing a bunch of research on my own, trying to figure out what I wanted for my son, what type of school, you know. And then I realized I don't want him to go to just a Montessori school or just a Reggio Emilia school or just a high scope school or whatever the case may be. I want him to go somewhere that is intersectional, that has taken the best out of these different philosophies and combined them so that whatever my child needs, you can pull and you can customize something for him for his own type of intelligence. Right. And that's where NeuroNurture found itself being all out there by itself, you know. So I created it because it didn't exist. And I built a school around it because there were no schools that I think had the flexibility to allow kids to do that, to be individualized in the classroom.
And some kids are just bad test takers. Because the test taking, you have to turn on another part of your brain to take a test. Like you have to like essentially get into the mind of the test taker when you take a test in order. And some kids can do that. They can say, this is the formula in order to take the test, and they can just take the test. But some kids, when they get a test in front of them, they get anxiety. They feel under, you know, all that under the gun.
I think it's really important that you understand the philosophy that created, or the history that created any type of educational philosophy, because the root of it will trickle down into the everyday aspects of what you're doing. And I'm not going to even like take us down the road of talking about the American public school system and where it came from, but we know that it came during the industrial era when we were trying to create more workers and where we were trying to make people dependent upon money, right? So that's one part of it. But I wanted to cast my net a little bit broader, and I started to look at other school systems out there and other philosophies because their histories matter. And like Montessori, that history is important for you to understand in order to decide if that's right for your child, because it matters. And then there's an incredible philosophy though that I love the most, and I think it's the most powerful, and that's Reggio Emilia. It came out of a war-torn Italy where they literally had a group of parents. The war was over, and they were saying, and they were saying, what are we going to do? You know, how are we going to entertain these kids every day? They have been traumatized by this war. Our schools are literally rubble. They came together as small communities and built these schools, brick and mortar. And then they were like, now that we have a building to put the kids in, like, how do we help these traumatized kids? How do we help them? They have singing things that kids really shouldn't see. How do we help them learn? And they realized that they should just listen to the kids. Listen to the kids and document the way the kids learn individually so that we can go back and say this was an aha moment for Natalie or this was a turning point for Jackson. And that is a very powerful way to learn, because if you can have pictures and documents and notes and extensive research
you are a real researcher
on each individual child, then it's powerful because you see how they learn and you can help them throughout their life with that. And that's powerful to know about yourself as well.
So how long do you, before we end the interview, how long do you think you will homeschool your children before you send them off to other type of public or private schools?
I will give them a voice when they're older to decide what they want to do for themselves. But right now, I'm just interested in building a really strong foundation for them. That's really my purpose.
No times or dates or anything like
No,
that?
I mean, I would love to do it until they're ready to go to college. I really would. Yeah, I would, because we also world school where we travel and we build a lesson in the location. And so, you know, I would love to see.
But how does that
this
work
happen.
when it's time to enter into college? Because they usually want you to have taken these tests, or you just take them?
Yeah, I mean, you can take, you know, the
Okay.
test. I mean, what you find is that they learn a lot more in this setting where it's more relaxed. And so, I mean, you can take that standardized test probably earlier and do really well and it not even be an issue to you. You know, it's about preparation. So I don't worry about these benchmark things because I'm watching and taking notes and observing every step of the way and monitoring his behavior. Right. Because that is a very strong form of communication.
And you all can see her journey on Milk Brain blog. Yeah. That's where she writes about all of the different experiences.com that she has with Jackson and Jones that she's homeschooling. And there's what do you blog about other things other than just homeschooling?
I talk about marriage. I talk about nutrition. I talk about a lot of stuff. But you can follow me on milkbrainblog.com or you can find me on Instagram. I do a lot there. And then I'm also the parenting editor or the staff editor specializing in parenting for blacklove.com. And Black Love is the Oprah Winfrey Network television show. It's a documentary or docuseries all about love in the Black community. So I am the one that's helping to curate a lot of the written content for the parenting section. But it's a wonderful website. Should be rolling out soon, but it is the online destination for Black Love.
Awesome. And sitting here listening to you ladies, I realized just when I was younger with my kids how wrong I was I moved them to a rural area thinking that would be better. But I just realized now how undersourced and underprepared those areas are just to keep up, my fear of, them maybe seeing the things I saw, being raised here. And, I totally have just missed, opportunities. And I'm sitting here like, maybe we should be trying to, get back this way. And, I don't feel like it's too late. But, I mean, this is coming from small towns. Yes, I'm taking it all in. Where
and extracurricular
one of the schools,
activities as well do help.
The counselor is
too.
actually the principal, too.
All right.
And so can you imagine, how shortchanged those kids are getting? Yeah. And it's just, my eyes are just wide open now.
But just continue the dialogue. Let's continue it online. Let's continue it everywhere that you can, because it's important to be active in your child's education, no matter if it's you that's the teacher or if you're in a traditional school. It doesn't matter. You have a voice and you should use it.
Right. Sure. So let's give away the trip really quick because we have to wrap up. We've been getting a wrap up segment for a minute now.
So now I hope everybody's still watching. And I hope that you have liked both pages, because when she pulls the name, we're going to verify that you have liked both pages so that you can be the winner. So get a drum roll, please. Ready for the world travel? Who will be in Cancun? Who's taking me?
And the winner of Trip for Two, flight and hotel to Cancun is
Andrea Thomas.
Wow. Congratulations.
Andrea. So we will verify that you have liked both pages, and then Tamika will be reaching out to you so that you all can discuss more about the trips and all the details and everything.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Andrea.
Yes, and also if you could DM us so it'd be easier to find you, that would be wonderful.
Yes, that would be great too. So congratulations. And we did bring so Farrell had her baby.
Oh, yes.
And if you'll just put that one picture up, that's what we'll go out on tonight. Farrell had a beautiful baby girl. Her name is Glory Fellows. Gigi Glow. One of our hosts had a daughter. Everybody's having a daughter but me.
And me.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Bye. Bye.